Someone asked me a while back to sum up Snowtown in 5 words or less. My response? Numbing to the senses, followed by a very slow exhale. The film's been praised, the film's been damned, and really anyone should make up their own mind. That, I think, is important. We're all grown-ups, we have the right to think for ourselves, but I should warn in advance, it's extremely violent, graphic, deeply disturbing, and nightmares will most probably follow. This is Snowtown. The film dramatises the Snowtown murders, and it was known by that title in some markets outside of Australia. The events occurred over about a 7-year period, starting in 1992, and ultimately leading to the discovery of 8 victims in plastic barrels, hidden in a disused bank building, plus others buried in a suburban backyard on the outskirts of Adelaide. For anyone who hasn't seen the film or is unaware of Jamie Velasquez and his part in the real murders, I'm giving nothing away, no specifics of events in this review, I promise. If you haven't seen the movie, please come to it with an open mind. Leave the expectations at the door.
You like that one? G'day, mate.
Morning, Dave.
I'm John.
The film is about how Jamie meets John Bunting, the ringleader of the murders, and how Jamie is seduced into a almost inescapable vortex of compliant violence. The director, Justin Kurzel, in a move to make the film not a conventional drama, cast almost entirely non-experienced actors. 2 roles played by Daniel Henschel as Bunting and Richard Green as the neighbourhood transvestite. Yes, they had track records and legitimate acting credits, but just a quick search of IMDb for the rest of the cast, and what turns up is pretty much nothing. People were in fact recruited mainly from local residents of the area where the film is set and shot. Smithfield Plains and Daverum Park, just a few miles from where the real events took place. Casting scouts even hung out at a local shopping mall, approaching people who they felt looked the part. As a result, the film has a deep feeling of urban realism, as much for the faces as for the places, especially in the minor roles, the village folk of the ensemble. You can see a kind of deep level in their relationships and attitudes and interactions towards each other. And their physicality, it's very different to the way actors might play at being these people. It's in the way they walk, their presence in a room. It's incredibly subtle. It's organic stuff, but I believe it is there and it's captured by the camera. Some critics have been very vocal about Snowtown. Well documented is morning TV movie critic Richard Wilkins, who stated along with a 0-star rating for the film, "This is as close to a snuff movie as I ever want to see." His reaction? Is it to the thrill kills of the characters? Maybe it's the way the characters justify their actions as cleaning up the societal scum that the legal system have leaned on too lightly, protecting society in their own warped way. Wilkins went on to say, "I don't care if it's rooted in truth or not. It's appalling. I've seen it, so you don't have to." Now, isn't it great that in Australia, commercial TV personalities can appoint themselves as the watchdogs and protectors of the broader community's moral and social well-being? Great that they're looking out for us. Rather like Bunting and his accomplices in the movie, come to think of it. Like I said, we have the right to make the decision ourselves. We are grown-ups. I actually think Snowtown is a very worthy study as a piece of filmmaking excellence. The choice not to sanitise anything, clearly showing the brutality in such detail, is important. It shows us just how far Jamie is pushed beyond any reasonable boundary to recognise right from wrong by Bunting's distorted emotional control. Praise must also go to an amazing lead cast. Louise Harris as Elizabeth, Daniel Henschel capturing that amazing balance of menace and charisma that's so necessary to seduce Jamie and the others, and the vulnerability portrayed by Lucas Pittaway as Jamie. It's a brilliant job, understated and so real. Then there's the bathroom scene, and those who have seen the film will know exactly what I'm referring to. Just tell me that didn't change the way you felt about the character of Jamie. how in a few gruesome minutes he makes the leap from what might still have been a misunderstood teenager to a point of absolutely no return. Worth a look is the Blu-ray edition. It reveals some interesting cutscenes from the movie. Did Jamie have more of a way out than appears, for example? Interesting to hear the director's comments on the commentary track as to why some of those scenes were dropped. Snowtown presents a sort of otherworldliness. It's a nightmare, absolutely, unfolding in daylight, deepening scene by scene, and building using some very interesting techniques. Time-lapse sequences that are used just in the lead up to some of the murders. We hear disembodied phone messages left by some of the victims. The leaps, the gaps in conventional narrative suggest it's all sort of happening in almost a parallel dimension somewhere where space and time aren't quite the same as the rest of the world. And I think it's all the more disturbing when you consider that it really did happen on a street in a town just over there. End.